Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to NoDQ video, episode number 1011 here on NoDQ.com and the YouTube channel. We got the WWE TLC pay-per-view this Sunday. Make sure you check out NoDQ.com for the news, rumors, and of course, my live results coverage, my thoughts. Check out the predictions video on NoDQ.com and the YouTube channel. Also check out the review video coming up Sunday night, early Monday, depending on where you are in the country or the world. With that being said, I got your questions today. As a reminder, use hashtag PAIV, or if you're a first-time asker, PAIV1. Alright, first one today comes from Amon. Do you think Kane interfering is more due to the Undertaker's revenge or the long feud with The Shield before? I do not know because WWE has not brought it up as to why Kane came back, but one would assume the primary reason is to get revenge on The Undertaker's behalf. That is the most recent storyline, and that would make sense, even though you would think Kane would have been back way sooner to get revenge on Roman Reigns, but whatever. It's wrestling. There's only so much logic that you can look for. WWE could bring up The Shield as well because, as you mentioned, The Shield did have a lot of matches with Kane, so Kane could say that he came back to finish off The Shield once and for all, even though Kane was part of the team along with Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan to defeat The Shield for the first time. But yeah, I think you could use a combination of both, but what makes sense to me is Kane is coming back to get revenge on behalf of his brother, The Undertaker. This one comes from The Sinful Saint. Is WWE strategically putting The Shield's in-ring return at TLC in direct competition to the season premiere of The Walking Dead? I don't think so. Maybe there is some thought process to that, but I believe the primary reason for reuniting The Shield was due to the fact that ticket sales were disappointing and Brock Lesnar was not on this show. WWE felt they needed some kind of hook for this pay-per-view, and when you think about it, when you look at this pay-per-view, it really is the Shield reunion that is carrying this pay-per-view. Without the Shield reunion, this, on paper, would be one of the weakest WWE pay-per-view lineups in a while. So I think it's just a matter of that, WWE wanting to boost the ticket sales and just have something for Roman Reigns to do. You know, there's a lot of reasons for it. Roman Reigns being associated with Rollins and Ambrose, in theory, will help him get more over with the fans, but as we saw on Raw, it only works when Reigns is out there with both guys. Now, maybe if the Shield reunion lasts a couple of months, maybe in time, fans will go a little bit easy on Roman Reigns. I don't think it's going to happen personally, but I can see WWE wanting to give it a shot, at least. And of course, WWE wants something for Roman Reigns to do until WrestleMania season gets underway. There's a lot of reasons, and maybe The Walking Dead is a little bit of a factor, but my guess is that is towards the bottom in terms of the importance of reasons to do the Shield reunion. This one comes from Josh. Would you book The Shield to lose this Sunday and then do a Survivor Series elimination match with The Shield and two other guys, possibly Joe being one of them, versus The Miz and his guys? Or is that overkill? I still think The Shield is going to win on Sunday. I think that it makes sense to protect Roman Reigns. If Roman Reigns is going to be facing Brock Lesnar, then yeah, if I was WWE, I would book him as strong as possible. However, if this Shield reunion is going to be more than one match, then you could make an argument for the heels winning. It seems weird, at least for me, to see the Shield lose their first match back. So I really think the Shield is going to win, but one would think that if you're going to do several Shield matches, then it would make sense for the heels to win and have the baby faces try to get their win back. that seems to be the logical way to do it. But we've seen before in WWE where the babyface will win the first match and then win the second match too, or maybe there'll be 3 matches where the heels will win the second match and the good guys will win the third match. We've seen it before in WWE. Would not surprise me if the Shield won and then there was another match for Survivor Series. Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but WWE has done it before, and I would not rule that out, where the Shield wins and then the heels want another match at Survivor Series, this time an elimination match or something like that. I could see that happening, and it's looking like the Shield reunion is going to last through the rest of the year. They're currently booked as a team for the Madison Square Garden show. I believe it's the day after Christmas, December 26th. So the Shield reunion appears to be continuing for the time being. This one comes from Harvey. Could you see Kane and Braun Strowman feuding with the Shield and becoming the new tag team champions? I could see that happening, but the thing is, if the Shield is going to be reunited for the time being, then you're going to be doing the 6-man tag team matches. Now, maybe they could do something on Raw where it's a tag team match. I don't think Kane is going to be in a team with Strowman. I think if Kane does anything else beyond TLC, and that's a big question mark right now, is Kane going to be back for more than one match? We really don't know. He might not. But if Kane is going to be around for one more run, let's say, then one would think WWE is going to do Roman Reigns versus Kane as a singles match. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but if WWE does do Roman Reigns versus Kane, then maybe you could have somebody else team up with Strowman to take on Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. Maybe The Miz, maybe a returning Samoa Joe. There's a lot of different possibilities. But I could see Strowman having a partner to go against Ambrose and Rollins if Reigns is going to have a match with Kane. But I still have this feeling that we're going to see another Shield match after TLC, like I mentioned in that previous question. Maybe they'll do some sort of rematch at Survivor Series elimination style. This one comes from Grand. Admiral Thrawn. What do you think of a potential third Undertaker versus Kane WrestleMania match as a retirement program match for both? And he is a first-time asker. Well, thank you for submitting the question, but I have to say no, to put it in Daniel Bryan terms. I have no interest in seeing Undertaker versus Kane again. Their last match at WrestleMania was terrible. I think The Undertaker should stay retired. I suppose you could do something where they teamed up. I'd rather see that. I'd rather see Undertaker and Kane one more time as a tag team, but really, I think Undertaker's done. I think his send-off at WrestleMania was perfect. Leaving his gear in the ring and walking off into the sunset. I like that. I don't think Undertaker should wrestle again personally. Even if it was teaming with Kane, I think it would be cheap to have him come back to try to get that nostalgia pop. I think it's time to just call it a career. Let it be. Leave the memories alone, as the song says. This one comes from Ducky. And he says he's a first-time asker, but I'm pretty sure I've gotten a question from this guy before. Guys, if you've submitted me a question before, please don't use the PIV1 hashtag. Now, maybe he did not ask me questions, but that avatar looks very familiar. I apologize if this is, in fact, your first question. Is there a possibility Undertaker returns since he is still on the WWE Active Superstars page and not alumni? I think that really doesn't mean anything. I doubt Undertaker is wrestling again. I would not rule it out. Knowing WWE, they might try to milk one more match out of him. I think anything's possible, but I sense he's done, and I think he should be done. I personally don't see a need for him to come back. I think the way things ended were perfect. But yeah, him being on the Superstars page and not alumni, I would not read too much into that, quite frankly. Doesn't mean anything one way or another, I think. This one comes from DJ Birdie Booster. Do you think Brock Lesnar versus Jinder Mahal should be turned into Team Raw versus Team SmackDown with Brock and Mahal as team captains? I actually like this a lot better than doing a one-on-one match. I'm all in favor of this, actually, just to make it more interesting. I know there's been talk about doing the Kevin Owens team versus the Shane McMahon team, but I'd love to see Team Raw versus Team SmackDown with Brock leading his team and Mahal leading his team. I think that's way better, and I would do that. I think that would be a way more interesting match than a one-on-one Brock Lesnar versus Jinder Mahal match. So I think you just proposed a great idea, and I think WWE should do it, but my gut feeling is they will not. I'm guessing we'll get the Team Shane versus Team Orton match. Maybe there'll be a Raw, like Shield versus Miz and his group again, and then you'll have the Raw versus SmackDown WWE Champion versus Universal Champion without the titles being on the line. Garbage. Whatever. This one comes from Jason Bush. How about a Shield triple threat match at WrestleMania for the Universal title? Better than Brock versus Reigns. I agree on that, but the thing is, we've already seen that Shield triple threat match now, and I really don't see the need in them breaking up again, unless it's Dean Ambrose turning heel on Rollins and Reigns, but I think it's best to just have the Shield reunion and then let them slowly go back off onto their own, and maybe for next year's draft, one of them gets drafted to another show and that's the end of it. I don't really see the need to do another storyline breakup with those guys, but that's just my opinion. And yeah, a Shield triple threat match would have been cool, but I think it would have been better if they had not already done it. If it was for the first time, I'd say absolutely 100%. But now, it's not as big of a deal since they already did that triple threat. Got this one here from Benny. What would you have be the Universal title and WWE title matches at Survivor Series instead of Jinder Mahal versus Brock Lesnar? Easy question to answer. For Jinder Mahal, I would have done AJ Styles and have AJ beat him, and then maybe have Nakamura win the Royal Rumble and challenge AJ for the WWE title at WrestleMania, but I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't. And as for the Universal title, I would have just done Brock Lesnar versus Finn Balor. Do that match. What is the holdup? Balor has not gotten his one-on-one rematch for the Universal title. What's the deal here? I would just get that match out of the way. And once Balor mentioned it on Raw a few weeks ago, that should have been the end of Balor versus Wyatt, but they're still doing that. And I think Balor should be in the Universal title picture. I feel like Balor's character is really suffering from this Bray Wyatt feud. I would have just had Balor go right into the match with Brock Lesnar and start that build-up. But that's me. That's not WWE. This one comes from Birdman. I'm assuming it's not Coco Beware. Why does it have to be someone on the current roster? Why not have Roman Reigns face his cousin The Rock at WrestleMania? That could be an interesting storyline, don't you think? And this is a first-time asker. So thank you, Birdman. I'm pretty sure this is a first-time asker. I don't recall Birdman. I would like to see Roman Reigns versus The Rock. I think it's a really solid match for WrestleMania. It would be very interesting. However, the whole hold up to that is The Rock. The Rock is a very busy man in Hollywood, and his schedule is unpredictable. You never know when The Rock might have a new movie role come up. And then, of course, there's also that concern about him getting hurt. And I know there was a problem with the insurance, and, The Rock got hurt at that WrestleMania match a few years back, and the insurance companies don't really want him wrestling anymore because it's a liability, and there's too much of a risk of him getting hurt, and that could potentially jeopardize some major movie roles. So it really seems like The Rock would have to be on a hiatus from doing movies, and the timing would need to be right. That break would have to be right around WrestleMania. And, The Rock, I don't think he's going to be turning down movie roles to do WrestleMania. So if the stars all align and everything works out, I could see The Rock and Roman Reigns someday, but I think right now it's very much a long shot maybe a year or two down the line. You never know. Never say never. It is wrestling after all. Got another one here from Jason Bush. Where does the Shield rank among the greatest factions in WWE history in your opinion? Top 10? Top 5? Definitely top 10. No question about that. Best faction in recent WWE history. I mean, we got the NWO, we got the Horsemen, we got DX, we got the Corporation, we got Evolution, and then the Shield might be in there. Did I mention DX too? NWO, DX, Horsemen, Corporation, Evolution. Yeah, the Shield would be 6 or 7, somewhere around there. Definitely in the past 15 years, I would say the Shield is arguably the greatest faction in WWE. Well, 10 years. I mean, Evolution was about 15 years ago. A little less than that. Yeah, about 15 years. But definitely in the past 10 years, I would say the Shield is the #1 faction in wrestling, in my opinion. Although some people, if we're talking about all of wrestling, not just WWE, I'm sure people would argue the Bullet Club. This one comes from NoDQ Rules. Most underutilized talent in TNA in its prime, in your opinion? I would go as far as to say AJ Styles, because TNA could have done more with him. AJ Styles should have been the flagship and making the company a lot of money. Guys like Samoa Joe, but the less obvious ones, guys like CM Punk. CM Punk was there in TNA. A lot of people forget about that. He was only there for a couple of matches. They had a major superstar right there. They just didn't do anything with him. And there's a lot of guys. I think Tyson Tomko was a guy that a lot of people forgot about. He was building a lot of momentum in TNA, and then they basically dropped the ball with him. And I felt he could have been a really big star in TNA if they played their cards right, which they didn't. There's a lot of guys. I mean, this could be a NoDQ panel topic, guys that were underutilized in TNA. I mean, you could say almost everyone. I mean, TNA had so many talented guys that went on to other companies and became major stars. If TNA knew what they were doing, these guys would have been major stars, bigger stars than they were, and TNA would be a thriving wrestling promotion, which, I mean, they're still in business, so I'll give them that, but you know, they're struggling just to put 500 people in this warehouse for their version of WrestleMania. So what does that tell you? That'll wrap it up for this edition of NoDQ Video. Thanks as always for watching. Again, stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest regarding the TLC pay-per-view, and stay tuned this weekend for more videos. We got a huge edition of the NoDQ panel coming up with Joe Cronin. Stay tuned for that, and Wrestling Trivia Challenge, and of course the TLC review video coming up, and NoDQ Live next week. All that good stuff. Stay tuned, and I will see you guys next time.